What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Contractor Secrets podcast. Today, I have my very, very good friend, Joseph Toppi, the head of the High Performing Contractor Coaching Program, and he is here to deliver some extreme value, as he always does. This is his third time around, so if you like what Joe has to say here, why don't you go back into the archives of the Contractor Secrets podcast and check out the other two episodes he joined us on. But for now, we're going to talk about hiring in a sense that you guys know I bring hiring pretty heavily here. Joe taught me some things on this episode that I just absolutely loved his methodology behind hiring, and I think you guys are going to love it too. So, yeah, I mean, not much more to say other than if you're driving, listen to it again. If you're stationary, get your pen and paper ready. All right, guys, check out the Contractor Secrets podcast starting right now. Contractors all over the world are wanting more time, more freedom, more impact. The way we do this is through implementing systems, processes, standards. Welcome to the Contractor Secrets podcast. Here we hit business strategy, coaching, mindset, motivation, the tools you need for success. So strap in, listen up, and get ready to grow on the Contractor Secrets podcast. Back into it.
Sounds good.
What's up, everybody? I'm here with Joseph Toppi, round 3, third time around. High performing contractor coach, great friend. Came up to meet me in Ocala not too long ago. Had a chance to sit down and have a little coffee with him, kind of hear about his journey and what's been going on, man. And I know that we have some longtime listeners that remember you. Some of the stories that you gave on the first one, you know, that was a memorable one, and just kind of hearing your journey. So yeah, man, how you doing, man? Welcome back.
Good. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. Great to be back on the show. And yeah, that was a great time coming up to Ocala and sitting down, being able to meet in person, right? Meet face to face, have some good conversation.
Yeah, man. So, you know, my audience here, man, you know, we want the nuggets, man. We're talking hiring, marketing, production, sales, and I'm going to kind of let you kind of help me guide the ship here, man. You know, when I look at the collective of my audience here, you got a lot of individuals that need systems in place, that want systems in place. Hiring is by far the hardest, right? So it's that idea that there's not good help. They know my strategy. You taught it. I think you just did a webinar not too long ago on it, hiring in uncertain times. I don't think there's any more uncertain time than now, about, you know, although things are really, really good, you know, let's look at what your strategy is on that. Would you mind hitting on hiring and maybe some of the things that you taught in your webinar that you did the other day?
Absolutely. You know what? As you're talking, I'm my mind's going in a million different things because this is unscripted, right? We literally just hopped on a call and let's get it. So my mind's going in a million different things. As I look down in front of me, I actually have my cue cards from my webinar, from part of the webinar. And, I'm going to share them here right now. And this part of the webinar was 5 ways for better employees, 5 steps to have better employees. And you know what? Why don't I just breeze through these, kind of go the 30,000 foot view of them. How's that?
Sounds great, man.
So, I jumped on, I watched your hiring webinar you did a few weeks back. It was right before mine. I'm like, great. He's warming people up. This is awesome. Tag team them from every angle. This is great. So actually my very first one is one that you hit on to. Stop hiring out of urgency. You want better employees, stop hiring out of urgency. Build those systems, have a system in place, start to learn to forecast when you're going to need employees, and plug them into your system. Worst thing we can do as a leader, as a business owner, as someone hiring, is hiring just because we need somebody yesterday, and we just take, somebody that tells us that they're good, right? And then we hire them because we're in this frantic.
Yeah.
So
step 1, don't do that.
But we've all been there. We've
Right.
all been there where, you know what, we desperately need somebody. And I don't know if, oh, I don't think it's ever turned out well for me. And for many people that I work with, it never turns out well. The second one is set clear expectations. So when we hire, setting those clear expectations of
Yeah.
what it is we're bringing this person into. You know, I'm what I always work with my own companies and with my clients is when you bring somebody in, you should be able to place them in a seat that has their role. So, what roles are they playing? Their responsibilities. So, clearly highlighted, these are the responsibilities, their expectations. So, what is your expectations on them? What metrics do you want them to hit? What goals do you want them to achieve? What are the things that that they're there for? And then obviously the price and the price scale. But it's so important to set those clear expectations. And I'm going to rewind about a year and a bit. I think it was my podcast you were on. We had a conversation about you were talking about niching down, and you shared a story of taking on a flooring job.
Yep.
Painters taking on a flooring job and just what it did to the employees because they're painters.
Right.
Their expectation is to, paint, and now you're asking them to do flooring, right? And
Oh,
really,
dude, that's so common, man. It's like, and it might even not be as night and day as going from painting the flooring. It could be drywall repairs, texturing. It could be all of these weird little wallpaper removal. And then not only that, if you're not a diligent enough leader to understand employee motivation, and you wind up holding them to the same standard as you would if they were doing painting and being upset or frustrated and putting pressure on them on these other little tasks that you're doing, that could really affect morale.
big time, big time. And whenever I get to this part, when I'm talking with anybody about, setting those expectations and, not just that seat, but those expectations of project, I actually go back to a time when I was really young in
Yeah.
business. And it was one of those, we were renovation. So that takes up a whole group of things. But trying to keep the employee busy, trying to keep
Yeah.
work and money coming in. I had the employees for a full month doing stuff that was completely out of their scope, completely out of what I hired them for, completely out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I had good employees, guys
Yeah.
that would out to be top level, top tier. I had them quit on me.
Wow.
And right away you're thinking, oh, employees are no good. This guy was no good. No, the guy he was set to be a rock star. I was the idiot, right? And really setting those clear expectations. But then the second part to this step is follow them. You yourself as the leader have to follow and respect those expectations that you set for your employees.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's important, man. I think, you know, dude, I'm passionate about that. Making false promises as a business owner it's almost like you're stealing from them. I mean, to that degree. And I'm passionate about that because it's like, if you're setting those expectations in a way that you're almost manipulating their motivation by saying, hey, you're going to do this, 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 and this. And my goal is for you to be this, 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 and this. And you don't follow through with that. It's robbery. So for me, when I set those expectations, I set them in a way that I can almost promise myself that the expectations I'm setting are going to be met. That's it. And then if I exceed those expectations, perfect. But it's the same thing I do with my customers, Joe.
Yeah.
Like the last thing I'm going to do is create these crazy expectations to customers and then fall short and create a poor experience when if I was just honest and said, hey, listen, you know what? We're not that experienced at cabinet refinishing, but we can certainly paint your house to a fine degree. I definitely think we'll be the best fit for that. And you may have to find someone that specializes in cabinets. But I think if you let us do your house, you'll be very pleased, as opposed to just taking on the freaking cabinets just because I want the job and then not doing a good job on them. And it's the same thing with, like you said, love this topic, setting expectations, right? So in other words, with the new employee, it's more so like, you know what? Hey man, I have to be honest with you. We're still a learning, growing company. You're only going to get 32 hours a week right now. Okay. But I'll be honest with you coming on board, I'm going to be motivated. I'm going to be really pushing for that 40 hours a week for you. And it's going to be one of my goals. But let me just be honest with you up front. I can't guarantee 40 right now. And I think that transparency right there is like, something that you as a leader have to be willing to let go of that potential great employee just for the sake of keeping your integrity. And I think that level of transparency really keeps people around. And next thing you know, you'll wind up exceeding the expectation and you have a loyal person on your team.
Absolutely, 100%. And, that was something that I brought up on the webinar. And I like to bring up in this one as well is,
Yeah.
Even if things change, right? And you need to operate outside of those expectations. Right. Is instead of taking the general role of I'm the boss and you're going to do what I say, right? Falling back and having that conversation, just like you said, having that transparency, that openness, sitting down with that crew or with that single or with the company and being like, guys, listen, you know what? Next month, things might be a little tough. I took on this project. It is a little bit outside our scope. I wanted to bring it before you, wanted to be honest with you. Who's cool? Let's move them forward with this, right? Yeah. And you're building that trust and you're building that respect to with the employees so that they will follow you and they will work with you.
It's almost like you're looking out for them on their level. I had an example where people on this podcast know I niche down, right? I don't take things that are weird. And I took something that was freaking weird, man. And it never turns out good. And it was subtle too, man. It was somebody, we painted the outside of their house. They had wallpaper throughout the whole entire living room. They said that they were going to have the wallpaper removed. They said that they were going to have the walls finished. So they were going to be paint ready. But I do not paint new construction walls, man. I just don't. I never did. But you know what? This customer schmoozed me, and I knew they were going to pay the money for it. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to make an exception. And as we're leading up to this job, I'm like, I got to bring Shamel over here and show him this. Because if I just expect him to show up here on Monday and not be prepared for this, his stress level of what he's going to have to deal with is going to be way higher. And that's not fair, right? That's not cool, So brought him to the job on the Friday before we started. And he thanked me. He said, dude, I am glad you brought me here. Okay. And I told him, I said, I probably shouldn't have took this one. I know this is going to be high level for you. You're going to have to think of variables that you don't normally think about. And it was just a really good, exactly what you're saying, man. Just being transparent, man. That was a good point.
Absolutely. So, 5 steps better employees. Number 3, be quick to invest in the employee. So I break it down. I have the 3 T's of investing in an employee. 1 is training. Be quick to invest in training, whether it's skill set training, whether it's safety training, even personal development training, improving the employee's life. I know old school thinking of this. I mean, I've been in construction for over 24 years. So I went through some of the old school way of stuff, but it was never let the employee better themselves because they might leave you. We live in a time now where, one, I think that's just completely bogus way of thinking, but investing in the training, you're building some of that social proof, that care, that trust and connection with the employee, because they say, hey, you know what, this guy's investing in me getting better. The second one is investing time. Investing your time, getting to know the employee, getting to, not that they're just employee number 5, so to speak, right? But getting to know them on a deeper level, not having to go, play pool with them every other night. But I give an example of a company I used to work with, and the manager treated everybody the same. So if one guy was struggling, well, he approached everybody as they were struggling. And, if we had one guy, family was all that was important to him. One guy being heard and respected was important, but everybody was treated the same. And what it did is it bred
kind of cold.
Yeah. And it was just a hostile work environment, and everybody stopped working for him, and
They started
everybody
working them for themselves.
absolutely right, because he's not connecting with us. He's not investing in time to get to know us. So why am I going to work for him? So I'm just working for a paycheck.
Sure.
And that was the attitude.
Sure. Wow. I mean, that's important, man. I think from my perspective, just kind of relating to what you're saying, man, this question is so vulnerable, but it showcases. I think vulnerability is one of the best attributes of a leader, and
Absolutely.
that's just natural for me to be vulnerable because I am not in the business of making promises I can't keep, and I don't want people around me that don't want to be here. And I think it's important for me to always just go right up to my guys. I always go up to the job, pull them aside. First question, how you doing, man? Just in general, how you doing? How do you like working here? Right? Those two questions right there will give me everything I need to know about what I need to invest in that person, whether it's, man, I'm doing all right, but I'm really struggling in this area. What do you mean? What's going on? And it's like, just we're their person. We're the person that typically controls their mood and their income. I mean, you have a pretty powerful position if you chose to employ people. Those two questions have been vital for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, one of the big things I'm always really keen on is placing myself in the center of the employees and just listening, just to their conversations, to, when I say place myself in the middle, whether it's in email threads or text, but just really get in the field, because if you listen, you can pick up on what makes them thrive. And I had one employee who, hard worker, great guy, but his wife struggled health-wise, wasn't working. They had a couple kids. And I remember one year I gave him a bonus, and the bonus was $200 gift card to a supermarket. Yeah. Right. So essentially a grocery gift card. And it was worth more to him than if I would have sent him and his wife on a trip somewhere else.
Right.
And it was because I could understand him and hear him throughout the year of his struggles, of the need for really more practical things rather than a big lofty bonus. It meant the world to him. And I'll tell you what, he showed up in the new year after that. It was a Christmas bonus. He showed up in the new year, and the guy outworked everybody on the crew.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I think a lot of that also can determine, like, where did they come from? Like, what employer did they have before? Because, some people are damaged. It's almost like them coming out of a bad relationship. And it's like, maybe that person never even just listened to what they had to say or made them feel valued, or more than just a number in a company producing a result. And I think there's a major market for people that care about their team. And it's not so much that, you have to, but unless you truly do it and try it, you'll never really know what's on the other side of that. I think that has become one of my favorite things to do, is really just find ways through the business that I can empower others and help their lives improve. And you can't do that without that second T there, is giving them a little bit of your time.
Absolutely. And then the third T is trust. Invest your trust into them. And the whole thought of, as business owners, if we show up on a job and the owner of the house, our client, stands on the deck and watches us work all day, right? Looks over our shoulder. We're like, dude, why am I here? We get frustrated. So how about the same with us to our employees? If we're investing training, we're equipping them. We invest time to get to know them. At what point do we start investing trust? And, one of the things that I loved was I heard Steve Jobs say it one day, that the hardest thing he ever did in business, it was the hardest thing, but the most profitable thing he ever did, was start to back off of his employees and trust them. Let them do the work, even if it took them longer than what it would have took him, even if they fumbled through some of it, even if they had to figure it out, but to sit back and empower them and trust them to do the work that he hired them for. And especially,
That's not really a revolutionary thought, but it's a revolutionary thought.
Right, exactly. It's, if we look at it, you hire somebody for a job, right? You hire them to do a task, yet we hover. Yet if they don't do it as fast as we do it, or think they should do it, or if we don't properly equip them and they fail, well, then we get upset. Instead of saying, hey, you know what? I hired you for this. I thought at the hiring process that you were worthy of this task and job. I invest a little bit of training to improve your skill set, improve you as a person. I get to know who you are. Shouldn't I trust that person?
Yeah.
And then what does it do to the employee? As an employee, if they feel like they're trusted, if they feel like we're not hovering over them, they will work 10 times harder for you.
Well, then they can activate that secret molecule called creativity that many withhold because they don't feel trusted. And if you're not feel trusted, then you feel afraid to make a mistake because you don't want to lose your job. But if you feel trusted, then you have a little bit of leniency to activate creativity and use that human molecule, man, of that makes the customer feel like, man, this person is for this company. And I've experienced that in my business because there is nothing but trust going on in my business. Can't be afraid to let them make mistakes. Love it. Great 3 T's, man.
Thank you. The 4th step, provide more than money. And this is a tough one, especially now. We live in a world and a society where business owners, all they think that employees want is money, when actually surveys that have been done throughout the years, money is number 3 or 4 on the list of what you look for. But the people that I find that make it all about money, the leaders, is it's because their company's not set up to provide anything more. So my 3 C's, okay, we went from T's, now we're going to C's. So my 3 C's, community, connection, culture. And these are things that you don't just hire somebody and then, create it. It's something that you have to be. It is the heartbeat of the company. It is what your company is. It does, it leaves, it breathes, right? So when we hire, if we go at it straight at the money, now we create a culture from the employee that it's all about money. So if it's all about money to that employee, because we made it that way, what's going to happen to that employee when our competitor offers them 25 cents more an hour?
The same thing that happens to our customers when all we offer is a price.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if we only offer that employee money and we make it about the money, the next person that offers him 25 cents more an hour, he's jumping ship on you.
Yeah. And I think, real quick, let me hit on that. I think if we go back to our 3 T's, then we, that time can really open up the door for culture, because that's what creates the culture is care. Add care into there, because I really believe that, and I've seen it. So and I'm loving this. What's number 5?
And number 5 is, and this is one of the toughest, but be what you want your employees to become.
Hmm.
Right? We can only, as leaders, you can only lead somebody to the level that you are. So be what you want your employees to become. If you want your employees to show up every day and give your all for the company, then you as a leader need to show up every day and give your all for the company.
Sure.
And, if you want your employees to be of integrity and professional, sure. And I address this, and this might ruffle some feathers, and I apologize, but your social media needs to be professional. Your personal stuff, who you are as a leader needs to be what you want your employees to become.
Good fruit gets produced by good trees.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely it. And if you make everything transactional, you nickel and dime them, they're going to nickel and dime you. If you make everything about the money, then they're going to make everything about the money. But if you focus heavily on the 3 C's, the 3 T's, that's phenomenal. Well, we need to figure out, man, this was great. I want to really quick pivot to your high performing contractor. So you've created kind of like I like to consider it an offline community. So it's really interesting. We have the big Facebook group, 125,000 members. It's so loud in there that you don't really have much of a voice, but Joseph is a contractor coach. And just from this snippet that you've got from him, I put him here because I trust him to lead you. And if you feel as though you want some guidance, more guidance from Joseph, you guys know I don't do any structured coaching. Not that I don't have the time. It's just not my thing. I'm not at that stage of my life. I'm still learning. I can give you pieces of coaching, which you see in the business breakthrough, but this guy has 25 years of experience. He's seen everything front, back, left to right. I trust him to lead, and that's why he's here. And he's created kind of like what I like to consider an offline community. And it's, well, first, explain what it is and what's included in it. And yeah, why don't we go there, Joe? Tell us a little bit about it.
Absolutely. It's the high performing contractor community. So I've built it off of your traditional social media, but it gives a place. It's a paid community. It gives a place for contractors and those in the service-based industry to come in, get guidance, get training, coaching. It's actually a full business support and training program. So in it, we have weekly live trainings. So, and not just by myself, I bring on professionals in other areas that, I do finance, systems, leadership. I bring on people that do marketing, people that do sales, so that it's a well-rounded full business. We have something that I really has been powerful. It's called business hours. So it's a block of time every week that the members can just jump on during that block of time. If they're struggling with something, if they're stuck with something, they have a question, and it's really a kind of on demand during that block of time where they can talk with a coach and get some advice, get some, tidbits, some direction. We have a Q&A portal in it. So all the members post some questions in there. Good place to go through to find answers to questions that you have, or to post your own questions in it. And then the other thing that I created in there, Tanner, was the marketplace. And the marketplace is an area that has products and services for business owners. So stuff outside of the coaching, outside of training, website development, SEO, some software stuff. Dripjobs is in there.
Yeah.
Right? So because being what we want in our mission to provide that full service, we work with people we trust, people that we've vetted people that we know when our customers or our members are going to use them, they're going to get treated the way that they should get treated. And they're going to get a service or a product that's going to better their company. Because within the community, there is no selling, there is no spamming, there is no, Facebook, typical Facebook. If I'm a sales coach, I'm going to like you or follow you. And then I'm going to go on the DM and I'm going to give you my pitch. So there's none of that in there, but we still have a place where people can get those services.
I love it. I love it. And yeah, the reason why, I mean, again, one of the reasons is I knew I was going to get some gems from you. I got some gems. So man, first I want to thank you as always for being a guest. This won't be the last time. I do want to encourage every single person listening to this, please go visit High Performing Contractor. Is it .com?
The highperformingcontractor.com. The community is community.highperformingcontractor.com.
Okay. So community, there will be a link inside of the description of this podcast. Tell Joseph that you heard from him from the Contractor Secret podcast, just so he knows. And, just say, at this point, I think you're pretty fresh in starting it. So I think at this point, they're probably going to get a lot of one-on-one time with you personally during those business hours, which is awesome. I'm sure. And, really just launching it up, man. I mean, I think this is a great opportunity for people to get some exposure to some seasoned information. Honestly, if you listen to this webinar, that was only 20 minutes of this webinar. That's just touching the surface of the insight. One thing about Joe, he's very structured, very professional. I admire your branding too. You've always been very good at that stuff. I think you showed me your course back end once, and I was like, holy smokes. So you can expect nothing but professionalism from Joe. Any final thoughts, my friend?
I just think on topic, this is everyone that's hiring, hire for success of your employee first and foremost, rather than always worrying about the success of you.
Love it. Love it. Joe, a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you on the next one, my friend.
Thanks a lot, Tanner.
All right, man.
Bye.
Hey, thanks so much for checking out the Contractor Secrets podcast. Stick around. I am going to drop in a short testimonial that one of our awesome heavy hitters in Dripjobs had agreed to give out for us. So if you want to hear a little bit about how Dripjobs is helping contractors, stick around for the end of this episode and you can listen in. What's up, everyone? I'm here with Mark Bradford. Okay, first of all, let me start with this. You were one of the most skeptical people to ever use Dripjobs. What's changed, man? Do you like it? Was it worth it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing is the return on investment is instant. As soon as you integrate it with, the stuff that you already have in place. I linked it with my website, with my get a request a quote button.
Yeah.
And it's just every phone call that I get for, customers requesting an estimate. I just redirect them to the website and Dripjobs takes over from there.
Love it.
So yeah, it's definitely been a game changer. I'm still learning some of the aspects of it. And I think it's great that there's new and updated features coming in all the time. So I'm definitely excited for the Google Calendar when that comes.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely made a huge difference.
Good.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that was one of the things, is because you and I had spoke before and you weren't sure if, because sometimes it might feel like Dripjobs is too big, right? Because I know that you kind of do your own thing. Are you still, solo?
Well, I do have a couple full-time guys and a part-time guy. So,
cool.
it's,
all right.
It's, we're definitely growing. So we want to use, whatever's appropriate as we grow. And I think that
grow into
Dripjobs,
it. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's still some features of Dripjobs that I don't utilize yet, but that's just because I need to take the time to really fine tune them and tweak them.
Absolutely.
So I still use every part of it. It's just there's some parts of my my old estimating process that work in tandem.
Yep.
So eventually we'll be merging that.
Great.
Like I said, it's just, it's a fine tuning process.
So a couple things. You mentioned the booking link, and I just want to make sure you know this. I know you're directing people to go to your website, but we added a button on the bottom menu. It says new request. Have you seen that on the Dripjobs app?
That I don't know that I've seen that. No.
You got to check it out. So
Okay.
if someone calls you, you hit that button and you just punch in their phone number and it sends them the link. So you don't have to say, hey, go to the website. You just hit that button, put in their phone number, and then just like that, they get the link to fill out the form.
Oh, even better. Yeah.
So save a step there. So you've been using it now for, I think, 2 months. We reached out to you because you're killing it. Just curious in terms of you've been sending proposals. Have people been responding to the automated messages?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, getting onto the Dripjobs drips and getting to scheduling has been very quick. Honestly, most of the responses that I've been getting through the automated responses have been like just
after
because
you send the proposal, mostly
after I send the proposal, right. And so I've gotten maybe 1 or 2 where they were kind of on the fence, and the automated email helped sway them over to the side.
Yeah.
So, but for the most part, it's, a lot of them have been just, I go out, do the estimate, and they want to get on the schedule within the next couple of days. So
huge, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So overall, would you say, I mean, it's pretty easy, software can be pretty crazy. I mean, one of our focuses as a company is to like try to make it as simple as possible for you to get in, do what you need to do, and get out. Do you feel as though like, it's pretty easy to navigate and use?
I think once you spend a good day and a half with it, it's, yeah, you can jump right in as long as you're, somewhat computer savvy. Absolutely. Yeah.
Love it,
So
man.
it's getting more user friendly, I feel like.
Yeah. Did you notice we started putting the lead sources there on the deal cards?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's just being able to see where people come from, right?
Yeah, and the customers have been using it too. It's great.
Yeah, well, we force them to on that form.
I wondered because it just started all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, word of mouth, cool.
Yeah, word of mouth. Okay. And you know what? Generally, people are really honest on there, which is cool. It's not like, they just like pick whichever one. Because I'll kind of follow up. So I'm like, how'd you hear about it? Just to see if they lied. It's like, all right, that matches with what you put. It's like, I got data that I need to look at, lady. So make sure you're correct here.
Right.
No, that's awesome, man. So just last thing, man, I always like to end with this on one of these is you were on the fence more than, like I said, anyone. I think you tried it and then you didn't use it. And then I think Mike gave you a kick in the butt. And I was like, dude, give it a try. We sat down. If you could talk to somebody that's on the fence, maybe just doesn't have a good system or has their own system and they're thinking about Dripjobs, what's one thing you would say to them, to sway them?
I would say, I mean, you're not locked in, and it, like I said before, the return on investment's immediate. If you can present yourself well to the customer, Dripjobs will do the rest. Boom. That's it. Keep it simple. Mm-hmm.
Keep it simple. Mark, you're the man. Continued success for you, my friend. I see that you're growing, and I think it's only up from here. I appreciate your time, man. This was 100% voluntary on your part, bro, and it means a lot. You took time out of your day to do it. So thanks, man.
Thanks a lot, Tanner.